afternoon, Lincoln. Mitzi Cruz here, host of Lincoln Live, and today I want to thank you guys first of all for your patience. I know we're getting started a little bit late here. I did have a business obligation that I had to take care of, so was really happy to have some flexibility to take care of my clients, and so now we are here live with Mike Ferguson and his lovely wife Amanda, and she's behind the scenes, but you'll see her in a minute. They are the owners and operators of 4031 Auto Glass. Started and operated right here in Lincoln, and so we're going to learn more about their business and what makes them so special, unique, and just a great addition to the Lincoln community. So first of all, Mike, I want to start off by thanking you for your time and for agreeing to be here and do this interview.
Absolutely. Well, we thank you guys for coming out. This is really awesome.
Yeah, so can you start off by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I started in the auto glass industry about almost 20 years ago, so I've been in it for a long time, and been all over California, Bay Area, and just kind of came up this way, and I had a long time with Safe Light Auto Glass.
Okay.
So I carved out a good living there, and a good learning different things and procurement procedures, because our industry has changed so much within the past 20 years. The technology has just gone way beyond what it used to be. So yeah, so we're really, we really wanted to do this to give a lot of the community information about safety, because it's paramount.
Got it.
It's really important.
So I think one of the things that really sticks out to me about your business, I just love your name. Can you tell us about your name and how that all kind of came about?
Well, we picked a name for, we were coming up with ideas, my wife and I, for names for a business, and we wanted something that was very special to us. And because auto glass is hard. We're outside, it's hot, so it can be hard to do. So we wanted something that meant something special to us. And my dad was in Vietnam, and he had a Bible verse that he used a lot, which was Isaiah 40:31. Yes. So it had a lot of personal strength in it, and it's very dear to us, and I think that it helps us carry on and maintain good work ethic. So.
Well, I think it's very special. I certainly appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. We're really proud of it.
Yeah. So one thing I want to remind you guys early on in the interview, and then we'll kind of have a couple reminders throughout. Don't forget to comment that you share our live video while we're live, and please feel free to hop in with your questions, comments. I've got two lovely assistants who are behind the scenes, who are jotting down your names as you're commenting shared, and they're also going to help tell us your questions so we can get those answered in real time. So it's a really cool thing. We really love your participation, so I just want to mention that. So tell me, one of the things that I think is interesting is, you're driving around and you see just gas stations, sometimes they're set up, and there'll be gentlemen there, and they'll come up and, oh, you've got a little chip in your glass, let me take care of that, we'll bill your insurance. Yeah,
so the one thing about auto glass is that it's relatively simple on its surface. So that's one thing that is, it's good about it, but at the same time can invite a lot of people that our industry, I hate to say that it's kind of like the Wild West, but it is. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of companies. The big box stores abide to those things about, such as having your bar certificates. Being a part of the Bureau of Automotive Repair is a huge thing to have, because if you're not registered, what's upside down? If you're not registered with the bar, you're not being watched, you're not, staying true to a lot of standards of ethics and all that type of stuff, which is good. There are a lot of fly-by-nighters out there, so this is more for, even if you choose us, we would love that to happen, but it's also kind of an awareness of who you choose and what they're doing, especially to your car, because your safety is paramount, but also to make sure that the materials that they're using, I have seen a lot of stuff on the internet where people get good deals, and normally good deals are great because you save money. Who doesn't want to save money? But when you cut corners with this type of stuff, it's not good. So there are resins. I didn't bring any in. Actually, I did right here. So on a typical, like a chip repair process, is where you fuse the glass together with a acid. And so what the acid does is, because the glass has been impacted by a stone, and it starts to, basically there's two sheets of glass with an inner laminate. So when you have a windshield, you've got two pieces of glass with an inner laminate between, and the technology is really in the laminate. When a stone hits that glass, it will cause the first top layer to separate. And what the glass process and repair process does is it fuses it. So if you buy inferior resin, which is readily available and pretty cheap,
Sure.
you can do a chip repair very cheap. But the problem is that it will yellow and it will have a cork effect, which will basically, it will fall out.
Oh.
So there are guys, if they're doing their chip repairs on your vehicle in less than 2 minutes, that's not good.
Right.
Because everything has to have a cure process. So I can go down this for a long time, but I'll spare you guys. So basically, you want to make sure that everything is done according to standard and done correctly. So
Yeah.
that's a big key.
Well, I heard you say two things there. So number one, you get what you pay for, right?
Yes, that's sadly true. Yes.
Yeah, and number two, leave it to the professionals.
Yes. Because that's in our industry. Anybody. The really scary thing is that you can go down and buy a windshield.
Right.
Anybody can go down and buy a windshield. That's not a problem. They don't check you. You're not carded. It's not Costco. Anyone in this, because there's 3 different distribution warehouses in town, and you can get your hands on anything you want.
Sure.
Which is great, but if you don't know what you're doing, it can be really bad.
Right.
So that's kind of, our industry has a lot of fly-by-nighters, a lot of people that make a quick buck and then they're gone. And that's something that you really want to check to make sure people have all of their certifications.
So I love the fact that you are totally set up and prepared for us today. So can you show us some of the cool things that you
Sure.
have to share with us and tell us
Yeah.
what you got here?
Okay, so first off, we have all of our certifications. This is the Auto Glass Safety Council. This is a nationwide certificate that if your technician has it, it's a wonderful thing to have. It means that you are really big on safety, which is a huge thing. ABC 2020, I think it was, when Stossel was there, this was a long time ago, but he was doing underground investigative reporting on technicians who weren't using gloves, because we all have oils in our hands.
Oh.
So if you're installing, if you see your technician installing your car and he's got his hands all over stuff, that's bad, because you're interrupting the process of the glue and the glass. So that's where you get leaks, you get wind noise, you get glass that isn't. I've been to jobs where I can go up and push the windshield out of the car.
Oh my gosh.
Crazy.
Yeah, and so if you get in a frontal end impact, that's it.
Right.
Because the airbag is deployed against the glass at 500 miles an hour.
Oh.
Because the airbag explodes, hits the glass, and then protects the occupant from hitting the steering wheel.
Sure.
So if that glass is not properly installed or a rollover, that the glass pops and the occupant is ejected from the vehicle.
Oh my goodness.
So this is your first line of defense. It used to be where it was all gaskets and stuff that helped, like in the old 50s and 60s. They weren't part of the retention of the vehicle. Now, the glue is so strong, it's actually structural. The pounds per square inch is so strong that it's considered structurally part of the vehicle.
Oh wow.
And it holds up the roof line. I mean, there's a lot to glue.
Yeah.
There really is. This right here is called Express 30. It's the fastest on the market of a drive-away time, which is a half hour. There are some companies, the glues can go up to 12 hours. So if you have a windshield install, ask, what type of glue did you use? Am I safe to drive the vehicle?
Right.
That's a big thing. So knowing a lot of the products that we offer, like this is the thing that we give away to each person, which comes with Dow glue. This is Dow Automotive. It's the most used urethane in auto manufacturing. So it comes directly from auto manufacturers. So Ford uses it, Mercedes, they trust their vehicles to go in with this stuff, and we use it too. It's a little bit more expensive, but again, you get what you pay for.
Got
So
it.
that's one of those things.
Got it. So how long have you guys been in operation here at Lincoln?
We just passed our 3rd year.
Oh, cool.
So we're really excited by that. We hit our August 1st deadline, so 3 years ago we started.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And I understand that you guys do a lot of the replacement and repairs for a lot of the service vehicles here in Lincoln
Yes.
as well, right?
We're very proud. Shout out to Scott Schrum,
Oh,
Shannon Boziat. She hooked us up with Scott, and
Yeah.
he's allowed allowed us to perform work. We're very proud to do Lincoln Police Department, and we do the fire trucks and the dump trucks and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
it's an honor to do that. So we're really appreciative of that.
Well, and I mean, that speaks volumes, because clearly, you know, nobody's going to hire a company to come out and install auto glass, and then put our safety workers, our civil workers at risk. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, we're very proud to do it. You know, I like to talk to a lot of those guys. They're fantastic, so we're happy about that.
So show us some of the other stuff you got going on here.
Okay, so another part of the procedure is, so we have our technology. We'll start there. So I have my wonderful office manager, maybe if she wants to go over a little bit of this, but we're very happy to have a technology that allows us to interface better with the customer and all insurance companies. So we're able to have our information uploaded. We take photos of your vehicle. We make sure that we have inspections, and we make sure that we send all the information directly to the insurance companies. We have a great cataloging system. We're able to, we try to order the correct parts. It's hard nowadays because like the new Cherokee has 25 windows.
Really?
So the new, if you have a Cherokee out there, you've got 25 different options for your vehicle. It's incredible. So that's a little bit, kind of leads us to our next thing is sensors and cameras in your cars. Are you aware of this? Have you seen these?
Well, I have a camera,
There you go.
a backup camera, and now I rely on it so heavily. I don't know how in the world I backed a car up without it. But tell us about that.
So all of these systems that are coming on your vehicle now, you know, Teslas and even Tacomas and whatever they are, we have new things that are called lane departure warning systems, forward collision assist,
Oh yes.
lane departure warning. I mean, literally, I can go down, I think I have a list of how many different options your vehicle can have. They're incredible.
It's crazy.
There has to be over like 100 options of heads-up display, adaptive cruise control. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. But the thing that is really big in our industry now is another piece of information is that if you have your windshield replaced and you have lane departure warning system, if you have forward collision assist in the window, it's a little triangle like this, you must have that window recalibrated by the dealership or by somebody who has the equipment. It's very, very big investment. We're getting there. We send ours to the dealer. We know that they're going to do it correct. So that's another huge expenditure. Once you have your window replaced, you also have to have it recalibrated, which can get up to $1,500.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
But it's important.
Very important.
So talk about what could happen if you don't do that. What are the remedies?
So there are other companies out there. There's one that I've heard of, is that in order to save some money, they will remove the safety equipment.
Yikes.
So there are windows that can be put in, and they can disable or remove the lane departure warning, the forward collision assist. This is a huge, huge, huge no-no.
Right.
Do not turn off your safety equipment. Do not have it recalibrated, and always make sure that you have the correct specifications for your vehicle.
Well,
that's big.
You know, I feel like if you did do something like that, if you did go ahead and disable that, and you're relying on that, it's the same way, like I mentioned, I get into my oldest daughter is driving my old minivan, so I get it, and I'm like, how do I back this up? Like, I did it for years. I don't know. I never had anything, but now, you know, I rely on my backup camera. So if you're kind of, you know, just going along and expecting that your lane assist or whatever, I don't remember what it's called.
There's a lot of technical
anyway.
Read your manual.
Yeah, so, you know, if you're relying on that and then it's not alerting you, I mean, that's hugely problematic.
Right. Well, some of the vehicles, as I mentioned, the forward collision assist.
Yeah.
And when you watch the commercials on television, pay attention to them. Because they'll have a guy who's, you know, he's talking with his wife in the car, and all of a sudden somebody stops in front of him, and they don't see it, and then boom, they impact the car. So the forward collision assist will stop the vehicle.
Right.
So if that is not calibrated correctly, it may interfere with a big safety issue. So if you get that done, there's, you know, you can have aftermarket glass, as long as it's calibrated, that's fine. Some of the dealers recommend having original equipment only. They always do that, but aftermarkets still do work. So, but just as long as it's calibrated and tested, it's okay.
Gotcha. So there's a lot to know. So that's why we definitely want to yield our questions and our concerns and everything. These conversations should be had with a professional. So I know we're going to open it up for some questions now. But meanwhile, or before we get to that, I'd love for you to tell everybody how they can get in touch with you. So
we have our online email, we have our website that you can go on. We also have our phone number listed and any of that stuff. It's spelled out 4031autoglass@gmail.com.
Okay.
You can contact me at 916-849-1597 with questions or scheduling or any of that stuff. We're happy to answer. We work with all major insurance companies. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. So what questions do we have?
We have a few that have hit on some of the things that you brought up.
Yeah.
One is calibration covered by the insurance?
Yes, that's a great question. Yes, it is. In fact, so that's another reason that some folks kind of push to have their vehicle done through insurance, because it's going to be done correctly.
Right.
So that way you can kind of back bill for that stuff. There's a couple other things too. If you're victimized, if your car windows are smashed out on the side, there's been a lot of theft in Lincoln lately. It's crazy. I personally am a small company. I've done a lot of break-ins. So if you have that happen, you can actually have your car detailed and submit that to insurance, because those little shards, if you have kids or if you have small pets, those little shards will get you.
Yeah.
So that's another thing to have done through insurance.
Yeah.
So if anybody also asks you to call your insurance company, lower your deductibles, have the windshield performed, and then raise it again,
right,
that's fraud.
Totally.
So don't. If there are companies, and I have heard of someone doing that, don't do that. It usually isn't that much to raise and lower your premiums.
Right.
So, a $50 deductible, $100 deductible, or $0 deductible, ask your insurance provider.
Yeah. Well, and I wrote home and auto policies many years ago.
Oh,
so
there you go. Yeah.
things they change all the time. But I do know that you can have different deductibles for comprehensive and collision coverage. And again, I'm not giving any insurance advice. Please, talk to your insurance professional, and they can answer these questions. But it's not very expensive to have a lower comprehensive deductible that's going to cover your auto glass versus having a lower collision deductible where the loss is going to be a higher amount for the insurance company. So, and do we have some additional questions as well?
Yeah, a few of them. Do you guys fix side windows that aren't going up and down?
As a matter of fact, we do. And I brought a part today, which is a
Perfect.
regulator. So
Do you want to do a demonstration on my car outside?
Yeah. We can certainly do that. We can start there. Let me grab this out. So this is funny because I actually have this job next. This is a regulator. So this is what is in the door. It's like basically a miniature elevator.
Wow.
So what it does is this is for a GMC. This is a Chevy door glass.
Okay.
It's a little bigger. So what you have is your motor, which is this little guy here, and then as you can tell, it's spring loaded and it has little clamps that hold the glass. So when it's plugged in, it basically just rises up and rises down. Now this is a very simple regulator. They can get pretty involved with the beamers and the higher end stuff, but overall it's pretty simple. Now the reason why these things break is typically because of this. So this is plastic.
Oh.
Now if they made that metal, these would never break. So that's another one of the things, like when a break-in happens, typically you have all this torsion on these chains, and as soon as that glass is exploded, these things pop. So that's what happened, unfortunately, to the lady that not only did she have to pay for her door glass, now she has to buy a whole regulator.
Oh, bummer.
So that's another huge part. So it really is a bummer. So insurance, again, it's another good thing to have.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. That's good. That's a good question.
I know.
Got to let that piece in. Another thing is, and this, we wanted to show is, okay, we'll keep going on the list, is this piece of equipment here. So this is a setting arm aperture, and what this does is it allows us to create a factory seal. A lot of folks talk about there's a big thing out there that says once you have your window replaced, or there's no better seal than the factory seal. To an extent, that's true. I've seen a lot of, if any one of you have had a factory recall, you know that there are things at the factory that go wrong.
Sure.
Airbags, there's been tons of recalls out there, and windows are in those categories. Sometimes they'll run them through the paint so quickly that when they apply the urethane, the paint's not dry. We've gone out to jobs, brand new cars, and you can grab the urethane and pull it right off the car.
Oh, wow.
So what we try to do is we replicate the machines. So you'll have a piece of glass. The machine will do one bead. It'll start in the center and go all the way around, come back down like that, and it'll be one big giant bead on the glass. The machines come in and are able to set it with suction cups into the car, so it's not disturbed. These help us do that. So we're able to, not only, I have an electric gun, so we're able to extrude the urethane at a machine's pace. And most of the time, I will try to shoot the glue on the glass, so to try to replicate factory standards.
Sure.
So that helps out quite a bit. So when we have these setting apertures, it's a really good way of having quality in your car. Because there are a lot of guys that will, what they call, it's a dirty little secret in the industry, it's called stuffing.
Oh.
So if you see somebody working on your car and your wipers are up and none of the equipment's removed and they're taking the glass and just shoving it in your car, that's not the proper way to do that.
Sure.
So the best way is to remove all that equipment. The wipers, the cowling, all that stuff has to come off. You prep everything, you do everything correctly, and then you set the glass. So if you see someone doing that to your car, say, why are you doing that to my car? So don't do that.
So they're just cutting corners.
Yes.
Got it.
Another way to save money.
Right.
So that's sometimes not good. Yeah. We also have some other techniques, which is this one here. So this is
Can you pan around?
Oh, I'll bring it over here.
Oh, okay.
So this little guy, I got this off eBay. This is called an Easy Wire. It's usually exclusive to a couple companies, but I was able to get my hands on one because I love them. So this is just a string.
Yeah.
So when people cut out your windshield, if they're using blades, which is sometimes called for, but not all the time, they use a blade like this, which is a serrated blade. So when you cut paint, you get down to what's called an E-coat, and that's the first primer base that they have at the factory. So as we all know, if you cut metal or if you cut paint, you can expose your vehicle to rust.
Oh, sure.
So what this little guy does is it's a string. So it's harmless. It doesn't hurt the paint. We remove the window without even touching the paint.
Oh, so this actually removes the window.
Yeah, we go on the inside and we just crank it around a few times and it guides through and it's real soft. It won't damage your vehicle at all. So a lot of insurance companies love that we have this.
Yeah.
It's a good thing to have.
So you're obviously very passionate about this. And you know what, so that's interesting to me. I mean, can you tell us what actually got you into this business and industry in the first place?
So I started out doing deliveries back in Sacramento for a glass company. I was just, my dad was in the military, so we lived all over the place. I was in Alaska, and then I moved down here because my brother was here, and so I was looking for a job when I was 18, and I found a local shop that did deliveries. And so I started watching the guys, and they were doing amazing cars, like old Edsels and really good hot rods, and I was like, that's pretty cool. I want to do that kind of stuff. Yeah. So they trained me, and I've had a neat little career ever since.
Yeah.
So it's been really neat.
That's awesome. You know what? Not a lot of people get that direction at 18 and then run with it and make a career out of it. That's really cool.
Yeah. I like to say I got stuck in it, but after a while it became not only fun because you get to meet interesting people.
Sure.
You get to see all kinds of different cars. You get to go to different places all over California, and it's really been fun. Yeah. It's actually been a blast. So.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. We made it a big part of our lives.
Yeah. So do we have some additional? Oh yeah, we've got good questions. That's
usually
awesome.
opens up a big can of worms. Yeah.
Do you guys fix chipped windshields without having to replace the whole windshield? I had somebody comment that chips can be fixed, but cracks have to be replaced. So can you elaborate?
Yes, so there's kind of a thing in the industry now where there are some companies that can fix chips up to the size of a dollar bill.
Right. Whoa.
You can,
Yeah.
but number one is they're usually ugly.
Yeah.
Number two is any type of crack in the glass, if you can imagine a crystal, in different ways will reflect light.
Oh yeah.
So it's one of those things where it will reflect light. Sometimes you can see them. The patching procedure, this is kind of a thing, it's not cosmetic. It's only to patch and keep the glass from splitting. So there are people that say, well, I've had it done and it disappeared. That's true, and I've had that happen myself, where I've had wonderful repairs and I think I'm awesome.
Yeah.
And then there's other repairs you go to and they look exactly the same. So, but they are filled. So it's kind of a gambit where you don't know what's going to happen. So even when they are filled, sometimes people will choose to have them replaced because they are unsightly, especially if they're in your face, because it can distract you while you're driving.
So something like that, is that billable to insurance if
Yes.
if you're just able to repair it? And
Yeah.
so in the old days, I think they would even waive your deductible.
So with the chip repairs, they're usually free.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So all chip repairs are free. I think there's one or two holdouts that still kind of make you pay for them, but you might get a discount. But for the most part, they're free.
Yeah, because it's more cost effective for them to repair the chip than it is.
Preventative maintenance.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, good stuff.
Chip repairs are great to have.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But done by professionals and not a guy at the gas station
Yes.
that tells you, oh, it's going to take 2 minutes, and then 20 minutes later, you're late for your appointment. And I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
I've been there.
Yeah.
So do we have any additional questions? Or Andrea, Lucia, do you guys have any questions?
What areas do you service in?
So we generally run in about a 20 to 30 mile radius of Sacramento. So we try to cover outskirts, maybe a little bit Rancho, maybe a little bit up towards Davis. We're pretty flexible. We try to help a lot of people.
Got it.
So we're really not in this to get insanely rich. We're just we like to help our communities. It's a fun job. We want to make sure that it's done right. So I'm not about taking 50 jobs a day. I'm about taking a few and definitely making them each correct and right.
Got it.
So, and it works. It works out great.
That's good.
Yeah, it helps a lot of people, so we're happy to do it. Absolutely.
And then, do you want to touch on the video that you
Yes.
sent about?
Yeah, so like I mentioned a little earlier, is that John Stossel did a report on 2020 about, basically not using gloves. There was another one that I sent you a link on. I encourage everybody to watch that, because whoever you use, if you don't use us, I know there's a lot of technicians that are getting backed up because it's the summer vacation, people are going on trips, so the industry is very busy, and sometimes you have to shop around. Sometimes I may not be able to meet your needs, and you might have to, get it done sooner or other things like that. So whoever you pick, make sure that they are using the correct primers on your car. So if you see them removing stuff, they should be cleaning the glue, cleaning the area, using gloves, using proper glass cleaner. They should be prepping and taking their time. When these are applied, they need to flash off, which means they need to cure for about 3 to 5 minutes, 10 minutes sometimes. So that needs to be a big thing. Some guys aren't using primer. You can take a 2018 vehicle and it'll be rusted in 3 months.
Oh my goodness.
So if you're not taking care of the vehicle, it will destroy the vehicle. So proper gloves, proper primers, also proper glue. So some of the guys are not using the right stuff. They do what's called, it's illegal, it's called a shortcut. So, or a short, they had a name for it, it was a short kit or something like that. But basically they take the window out, they don't remove the old urethane. You want a little, but not too much. They just, and then glue on top of it. That's so dangerous. So if you see someone doing that, no, that's bad. So there's little things like that that are just the proper ways to install it that it's safe.
So you know what? I'm all about stories. I'm totally a storyteller.
Yes.
Love stories.
Good.
Tell us about maybe a story that stands out for you. Something that's either, hopefully it's not too bad, but there's could be funny, bad. Your story.
There's lots of stories, and when you're on the road 24/7 for years, I mean, you see lots of stuff. I have seen everything there is to see about vehicles. I've seen the worst work, and I've seen really good work, and I'm happy to see that. If you come across guys that are doing great jobs, that's fantastic.
Sure.
the nightmare stories that I've heard, I don't know if I want to tell that one, but
Okay.
some-
It's your story. You could.
well, somebody was driving on the road and a crowbar came off a work truck and impaled them to their vehicle.
Oh my gosh.
So there's a lot of that stuff out there. There's a lot of stuff road debris. I've seen
Yeah.
tires come up, off of people's cars.
Yeah.
Accidents. Hey, they happen all the time. There's tons of road debris that are out there. Big stones.
Yeah.
I'm sure everybody watching or people at home have had stories of large objects hitting their vehicle.
Oh,
It's,
yeah.
it's terrifying out there. It's really terrifying. So we've seen a lot of that kind of stuff go on. Also, a rarity is where it's happened more than once. Everybody, for some reason, everyone thinks they've been shot at. So I don't know why that is, but most of the time, 90% of the time, if your side window explodes, you haven't been shot at unless there's a bullet casing in the vehicle. And I've pulled bullets out of cars before too,
Whoa.
which is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So that's another thing is weed whackers can do it. So if you have a landscaping company around you and all of a sudden your glass exploded on the side of your car,
Yeah.
most of the time it's a weed whacker.
Really?
Somebody's buzzing stuff like that, flings up a rock and boom.
Oh
So
man.
that happens quite a bit.
Yeah.
There are break-ins. There's lots of vandalism.
Yeah.
I can always tell when there's a couple fighting in the car. So if you try to fool me, I know who punched the glass. That's another thing. You can always tell who punched the glass. I know a punch when I see one.
That's funny.
So we've seen a lot of weird stuff. So.
Yeah.
Leaks are another big thing. We have a lot of folks that get leaks in their cars. This is a big problem in the industry because there's a lot of different vehicles and a lot of different reasons why cars leak water. A lot of folks jump right to the windows that they think, well, my windshield's leaking.
Right.
Sometimes, yes, that can be true. But a lot of times these are the list of items that I've seen that cause cars to leak water, and they can be devastating because if your motherboard, which is typically on your kick plate down by your foot on the driver's side, the water will come in. If it hits that motherboard, it can be 10 grand. It'll destroy the car.
Goodness.
So you can also get mold.
Yeah.
If you have water in your car and it smells bad, get that taken care of because that can be toxic mold.
Sure.
So a couple of things that can cause it is that if the sunroof, sometimes the tubes are backed up.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have your sunroof open a lot, there's debris that can clog those tubes, cause the water to backfill and go into the car.
Okay.
So that's another thing that can happen. There's also, if your vehicle is really old, the pinch weld can be, over time, open up. And where a seam is, a body seam, water can enter into there. So I've even seen people where they left the door open.
Yeah.
So, and
Yeah.
my car's leaking, I'm like, well, your window's down. So
Right.
There's all kinds of reasons why cars leak, unfortunately. So, yes.
So just a reminder to everyone who's watching, I hope you guys are all sharing our live video while we're live and commenting shared to be entered into this week's raffle, a very generous $50 gift certificate towards auto glass repair or replacement. And I actually had a question in regards to sunroofs. So I'm sure I've never seen a broken sunroof personally, but I'm
Yeah.
sure they break.
Oh, yeah.
Do you guys fix that glass as well?
Yes, on certain ones that we can.
Yeah.
Tesla likes to do their own. So if you have a Tesla and you do have a shattered roof glass, usually they do it in-house only.
Yeah.
Some higher manufacturers only like to do in-house sunroofs themselves. The majority of them we can do. They're not really a big deal at all. Typically they're like a couple screws and they come right out.
Sure.
So that's a good question. Yeah, sunroofs are something that we can do. They're rare, but we do them.
Okay.
There has been a lot of factory recalls on some of the Land Rovers. Some of the other ones, they had leaking issues or they've had loose issues.
Yeah.
Normally those are handled through the dealership. So that's another one. But yeah, sunroofs are a big part of some of the things that we do.
Gotcha.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, do we have any more questions from the audience? Anybody, no questions, comments?
If they do have any questions, feel free to give us a call because there's a lot of misinformation about what we do.
Sure.
I heard this from someone and I heard this from someone. There's a lot of it out there.
Yeah.
Because there's really, like I said, it's an unregulated thing.
Yeah.
So when you guys pick your auto glass installer, do your due diligence. So, and even if you just watch them through the window, see what they're doing. Talk to them. Say, do you guys use primers? Do you wear gloves?
Yeah.
If they don't have gloves on their truck, simple little plastic gloves, they need to be wearing those at all times. Or most of the time during the process, especially when they're handling materials or glass. That's a big part of it. That's
Sure.
bonding. You know, also, are they, you know, the rain sensor pads, if you have a rain sensor on a vehicle, are they being replaced? Are they reusing it?
Gotcha.
So that's another thing. If you have a rain sensor in your vehicle, make sure it's operational before you have your tech out. If there's any issues, please let them know before you start. That's another one of the things.
Sure.
You know, there's a ton of options in glass. So we just want to make sure that you know your vehicle and we know your vehicle. So.
It's good stuff. And you know what? Not to worry, guys. I will post his phone number so you guys can call and then, you know, ask all your questions, schedule an appointment, and just make sure that you guys are all taken care of, especially before it starts raining again, because we're coming up on that season.
Come up on rain season.
Yeah. So, yes, Lucia, you have something to
I
say.
think one other thing, what I was touching on with the video
Yeah.
is you really stressed that you wanted this video to get out to the public.
Yes.
Yeah.
The one that you sent me, and so I was bringing it up so that you could let them know we're gonna post that video, and
Yeah.
it's basically, when you're saying do your due diligence, that
Yes.
it shows you why you need to do that, because there's some serious consequences if you don't in
Right.
that video.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, it's so important. I mean, we all want to protect our families. That's the main thing.
Yes.
And even if we're riding by ourselves, I mean, we are, you know, what we have to offer our family. So we want to keep ourselves safe, keep our families safe, and our loved ones. And so, yeah, it's extremely eye-opening and extremely important to really pay attention to what's going on and make sure that you're not a victim of a tragedy because,
Right. Yeah.
you know, somebody was unscrupulous. So.
Yeah. Because there are glues on the market that are they're really cheap, really cheap.
Yeah.
They do the same job, but the drive time is important because it could be a 12-hour. The worst one I've ever seen is a 2-day flat. Like you can't drive your car for 2 days. That's nuts. So, but the guy who's installing it, you know, I mean, because glue is expensive. I pay $70 a case for this stuff. I mean, it's really expensive, but it's worth every penny. So if sometimes people are like, well, you're not cheaper than the other guy, I understand that sometimes. We are small, our purchasing power is kind of what affects us because the more people buy on windows, usually the cheaper they can get them at.
Yeah.
But there still is a margin, there's a threshold. So we try to do as much as we can for the customer by keeping the prices low. Sometimes we just can't compete with the big box stores. I understand that. They have buying power that I can't touch.
Sure.
So they're able to buy like hundreds and thousands of pieces of glass where we can't. But we always try to select the best piece of glass for your vehicle. I personally look at the glass. I check for warps. I check for defects. I check for scratches. I check for all the stuff that sometimes if your technician brings them out and they have 8 jobs and they're doing them for way cheap, they're not checking your glass. They could be using used glass. You don't know. There's a lot of ways to lower costs, and some of them are not good.
Yeah.
So we try to stay competitive. We try to do as best that we can. Sometimes we're able to meet and beat, and sometimes we can't. But we always give you good service. You'll always usually speak to me or my wife Amanda. Did you want to come say hi? No. Okay. But we will try to be flexible with time frames. We know folks have kids and they have, we're mobile service, fully mobile service. So we can go anywhere you guys need us to go. I can go to your work. I can go to the schools. We've done them. I've done them anywhere and everywhere. So we're able to kind of work with a lot of folks like that. And that's really nice.
Yeah, it's very helpful.
Yeah.
I know the one time I had to replace my entire windshield. I actually had somebody on the other end of the job. This was years and years ago in Sacramento, and they took care of me. I called and I said, I didn't know I had to wait for the glue to dry. I had no idea. So I called and I said, hey, why don't you come out about 4? I get off at 5. And they said, oh no, that's not going to work. We need to come out in the morning. What time do you get there? And I said, well, hopefully I get there at 8, but sometimes it's 8:15. So
that
they
happens
came.
a lot.
Yeah, they came out and took care of me. So it was good. But
yeah.
So
yeah, definitely speak with your glass guy. Any concerns that you have, any questions about when you're leaving, when you're driving, we try to work with folks, and hopefully other companies do too.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, Mike, I thank you so much for everything that you've talked to us about today, all of the questions that you've answered. You're just a wealth of information on this topic,
We
and
try.
yeah, and I can tell that you really have a passion for it. And I think that's important. You know, when you have somebody on the other end of your safety who knows what they're doing and who really wants to do a great job for you and provide that exceptional customer service, that's incredible. So
Well, thank you very much.
yeah,
Thank you guys for coming. This is fantastic. So
Absolutely.
We're happy with what you guys do for the community. It's really awesome. So,
thank you. Well,
Yeah.
thank you guys all for watching. Have a great Thursday. I know today was the first day of school for a lot of you parents, so congratulations. And we will see you guys next week on Lincoln Live.